It was a quiet evening in my neighborhood, the kind where the sun dips behind the trees and everything feels perfectly normal, until it isn't. I was washing my truck in my driveway when I noticed a black SUV creeping up the street. The tinted windows gave me pause, but what really made my eyebrows rise was the way it stopped directly in front of my house. Two men in uniforms jumped out and approached me, badges dangling from their belts. They identified themselves as HOA enforcement officers. "Evening, sir. We need to talk about violations on your property," one of them said, his tone artificially calm but a little too forceful. I frowned. "HOA violations?" I asked. "I'm pretty sure everything here is in compliance." Before I could get another word out, they slapped a pair of handcuffs on me. My heart raced, not with fear, but with disbelief at the audacity. "Excuse me," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "Who gave you permission to handcuff me on my own property?" They just smirked. "We enforce the rules around here." I smiled just a little. "That's cute." That's when I decided to make it perfectly clear who they were dealing with. I reached into my jacket and produced my badge. The metal caught the fading sunlight as I held it up. "I am a U.S. Marshal," I said evenly, "and you are currently committing multiple federal offenses, including impersonating law enforcement and unlawful detention." The color drained from their faces faster than the sun behind the trees. We thought," one of them stammered, fumbling with his cuffs. I gestured to my truck. "Step back, please. Now." The moment they realized I wasn't bluffing, they dropped to the curb, hands raised. The handcuffs clinked as they removed them from my wrists themselves, clearly hoping I wouldn't pursue charges immediately. I, of course, wasn't about to make it easy. "Listen carefully," I said, keeping my tone measured, though my chest still burned with adrenaline. "Any attempt to return or to impersonate law enforcement in this neighborhood will be treated as a federal offense. I will personally see that it is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law." One of them muttered something about rules and HOA authority, and I laughed short and sharp. "Authority? You are a homeowner association. I am a U.S. Marshal. One of us enforces the law. The other enforces nothing." By the time the real police arrived, called by a concerned neighbor who saw the confrontation from across the street, the fake officers were nowhere to be found. The officers I spoke with confirmed that these individuals had no legal standing and were lucky not to have been arrested on the spot. Later, I filed reports with both the local police and the federal authorities. The HOA board, meanwhile, received an official letter from my office outlining the legal repercussions of sending enforcers onto private property. I made sure it was very clear. This neighborhood does not tolerate impersonation of law enforcement. That night, as I watched the sunset from my driveway, I couldn't help but shake my head at Karen's audacity. She had sent people to handcuff me in my own driveway, thinking HOA power was enough to intimidate me. Instead, she had inadvertently introduced them to the harsh reality of federal law. Sometimes people forget that before they try to play heroes with imaginary authority, they should first check whose badge they're really up against. In Karen's case, she learned that lesson at the wrong house with the wrong marshal. And from that day on, every time she tried to flex her HOA muscle, she remembered the look on my face when I held up my badge, and the handcuffs that had, ironically, been turned on her team.